Ambazonia, a fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement. Accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro. This day we are on Tuesday, September 3, 2024. I'm delighted to be here today. So we have this very important conversation hinging on peace, justice, and education. My people of Amazonia, we have really come a long way in this liberation movement. Since 2016, most especially when the agitation began, through 2017, when the government of La Republique decided to stop dialogue and go ahead to force their will on our people, banning all the movements, groups, and organizations that they were, engaged in discussion with the Southern Cameroon's National Council, SCNC, and especially the consortium. My people of Amazonia, we have traversed very difficult moments, and we have also been able to evolve in our thoughts and in our approaches to prosecuting our liberation movement. I know that we really have not been a perfect lot. We are human. We have faced challenges. We have faced difficulties, but all the same, and most importantly, we have done everything along the way to perfect our ability to handle both our quest for freedom and the need to continue to foster the education of our children. I like to recall, just so that no one forgets here, that the education system prevalent in the southern Cameroons is one of the immediate causes of this phase of our liberation movement, because our people observed that what La République du Cameroon was doing was simply doing all they could to water down our education system so that we spend time training job seekers and not job creators, so that we spend time training people who will come up and continue to perpetuate the cycle of dependence that our people have faced over the years. And for that reason, we felt again that the level of adulteration that was being brought in was simply meant to weaken our educational system and simply francophonize us. That is, get us from one colonial setup to another one. That's something we said no to. Today, I saw a video. I saw a video post that this is by the Apostolic Nuncio to Cameroon, in Yaoundé. When I watched that video, it pricked my mind very seriously, because I told myself that elsewhere we have seen what the church has been able to do in ensuring that there is justice. But in the situation of the southern Cameroons, there is an unfortunate but honest conclusion one can come to, that the church has been unpriested to the point where it is almost becoming part of the conduit of the oppression, the injustice, and the perpetual pain that our people are facing. So we're doing some little research. And let's begin this discussion with Maria Montessori. Maria Montessori says, establishing lasting peace is the work of education. All that politics can do is keep us out of war. Now, listen. Establishing lasting peace is the work of education. Our expectation will be that church leaders, the global church, the universal church, will go out there to educate the political class to the need to see that where there is no justice, there cannot be peace. You cannot decree peace because this is exactly what Montessori is saying. You can't decree peace. All politics can do is keep us out of war, but that will not bring peace. What the Catholic Church ought to do, what the church in general ought to do, is to continue to educate the political class, because this political class needs that education to the effect that it is not power, it is not decree at all times that can help you attain your objective. All you can do is decree that there is no war, or you can say, okay, we started war, we are stopping war. But if you want lasting peace, then you need to educate this political class to understand that lasting peace will only come through justice. Where justice is not seen to be done, there will never be peace. Absolutely. I say where justice is not seen to be done, there will never be peace. So that all of us flow with this discussion, so that all of us understand what I'm talking about, let's listen to the Apostolic Nuncio. I will not interrupt him. I'll let him go all the way, then I'll come back.
Peace and greetings from the Apostolic Nunciature. I am the Apostolic Nuncio in Cameroon, Pope Francis's representative amongst you. Cameroon has become my home and my passion. A temporary exhibit here features Cameroonian children's wishes for peace. This photographic exhibition was produced by the Piarist Fathers with photographer Emily Pina. One child, by the name of Peter, even says, "Living in peace feels good, just to wake up and go to school without fear." He was prevented from going to school because of violence. Our children are our future. Children suffer the most when there is violence. According to UNESCO, over 250 million children worldwide are prevented from attending school because of conflicts and violence. According to the World Bank, over 17,500 children in Cameroon are prevented from attending school, primarily in the regions of the Northwest, Southwest, and far north. Millions of children's futures are destroyed. Violence is never justified. Violence comes from evil. Peace, and only peace, comes from God. Violence is not justified, not on Sundays, not on Mondays, or any other day of the week. This month of September, let us not prevent children from going to school. Let us free the children. Let us allow the children to build the future. I add my voice to countless Cameroonians from all walks of life, from north to south, from east to west, not least the voices of the Catholic bishops of Cameroon, who work tirelessly to build the future. Nelson Mandela once said, "Educating all of our children must be one of our most urgent priorities." We all know that educating, more than anything else, improves our chances of building better lives. Pope Francis reminds us that the mission of schools and teachers is to develop an understanding of all that is true, good, and beautiful. Dear friends, violence is never justified. Only peace is the way of the future. This month of September, please let the children attend school, and together let us work for peace. Thank you. God bless.
Now we have listened to the Apostolic Nuncio. Folks, the Apostolic Nuncio says one clear thing. All he bothers about is peace. But trust me, when you get to the Bible, they tell you that God is a God of justice. Where there is no justice, there can be no peace. The Apostolic Nuncio should take this podium and tell Paul Biya, remind the government of La République du Cameroon to the importance of addressing the root causes of this conflict. I like to say this here. In 2017, led by the Foley and Hawk law firm, a number of us from southern Cameroons were received by the ambassador of the Vatican to the United Nations in New York. We were received at his office in New York. I was in the company of Mr. Alex Nganda and Harriet Fomoki and just one other brother. His name just keep my mind, and I'll say it when I get to it. We had over 45 minutes explaining to the ambassador, was a representative of the Pope at the United Nations. I'm not saying to the United States, at the United Nations, drawing his attention to the fact that we needed the voice of the Vatican in calling on these international instances and in calling on the attention of the government of Cameroon to the importance for us to sit around a table and have a fruitful conversation about the root causes of this conflict. All we gathered after those 45 minutes of discussion was just one thing. The summary of it was simply that as far as the church is concerned, they didn't care about whatever was going on. All that mattered was that they just needed a peaceful environment to continue to carry out their apostolic mission. But part of this apostolic mission is supposed to be fighting against injustices, fighting against social injustices, fighting against inequalities, fighting against marginalization, fighting against torture, fighting against the dehumanization of the human person. Right from that moment, therefore, we had a clue, because I had it firsthand. I was seated at that meeting. Right from that moment, therefore, we had a clue exactly what to expect from the church in these circumstances. You'll be embarrassed to find out that in some other cases, evangelicals from, should it be the Pentecostal churches or other denominations, have identified with their folks in conflict areas like in southern Sudan. When they rose to the occasion, the situation in Sudan was addressed. So when I watch the Apostolic Nuncio, I feel pain in my heart. Because first, this Apostolic Nuncio doesn't take note of the fact that we as a people in the southern Cameroon, in this liberation movement, have evolved. He doesn't take note of the fact that at the core of this struggle is the quality of education being handed down to our children. This Apostolic Nuncio refuses to recognize that fact that we have not stopped children from going to school again in the southern Cameroons. When there was the boycott, this boycott was agreed to and implemented with the consent of the parents. And when there was need to check it, we have constantly had a conversation with the parents on what approach should be taken to ensure the safe education of our children. And the Apostolic Nuncio would have observed that even within the framework of the 2024-2025 academic year, the people of the southern Cameroons have not said schools will not reopen. Perhaps what the Apostolic Nuncio is frustrated about is that we have decided we will not respect the calendar of La République du Cameroun. I might not have been one of those who signed up to that decision. But like I said in my last outing, this decision was taken by other actors within our liberation movement And the reason is simple, and the Apostolic Nuncio definitely is aware of it, that we will not move with the calendar of La République du Cameroon. My position, being the position of my movement, would have been that we even let the parents to be the judges of the security situation on the ground and determine how to send their children to school. But others felt we need to continue to defy La République du Cameroon and let the world know that nothing will happen in our land following their calendar. Mr. Apostolic Nuncio, Monsignor, what you needed to be educated or be informed. And I suppose you are in touch with the Archbishop of the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province, which is the entire southern Cameroons. Archbishop Andrew Biya should have informed you that children will go back to school in the southern Cameroons, but not according to the calendar of La République du Cameroon. This is what you need to know. Because coming here to give the impression that people are militantly against the education of their children is not only dishonest. No. It simply goes again ahead to dampen the image of the Universal Church, which already has demonstrated, beyond reasonable doubt, that they are complacent in the face of what La République du Cameroon is doing to our people in the southern Cameroons. To just come talk about peace? How do you get to peace when there is no justice? When I watched this video, I was embarrassed because I expected better. When he says violence comes from evil, peace comes from God, those same people who are perpetuating this violence in the southern Cameroons are all Christians of the Catholic Church. Atanga Ponji recently constructed a church in the south region and offered to the Catholic Church. Did the Apostolic Nuncio say no? You are perpetuating evil, because he said violence comes from evil. Don't forget that as we speak, there is information that Atanga Ponji and 6 other officials in La République du Cameroon are under serious investigations by international rights organizations for crimes against humanity. This is also the man who offered a Prado to the Archbishop of Bamenda. If these same people whose hands are publicly stained with blood, the blood of the innocent, are whining and dining with the church, how then do we think we can turn to this same church to seek justice? That's why they can only talk to us about peace. Just that kind of peace that Montessori is saying is useless. That's just that kind of peace which Montessori says is useless. What the Apostolic Nuncio fails also to say is that unlike what is happening in the far north, where you have Boko Haram insurgents who are saying they don't want education, that the education of the West is evil, that is not the case in the southern Cameroons. To put what is happening in the far north, the Boko Haram insurgency, and the genuine struggle of the people, the collective fight of the people of the southern Cameroons for freedom on par, is not only dishonesty, it is manipulation. Because at the core of our struggle is the quest to ensure quality education for our children. The kind of education that will make our children grow up not only as responsible, peace-loving citizens, but people who understand the need for social justice. But also that we are training people who come out of an educational system ready to create jobs, not as job seekers. What the Apostolic Nuncio failed to understand or refused to understand is that even while this liberation movement is ongoing, there are some groups, movements, and organizations in this liberation movement that are actually running community-based schools, that are training children in various crafts, that are making sure children are receiving education even in the heart of war. There are too many community schools in the southern Cameroon today, too many of them, and which are even more effective than those schools run by La République du Cameroon that this apostolic nuncio is advocating for. A lot of the schools that he's even talking about have no teachers. They have no infrastructure. They are all run by the parents, the poor parents. And they look at what will be the outcome. Mr. Apostolic Nuncio, one thing you need to be edified about is that we have always said, let La République du Cameroon withdraw their rapists of soldiers from our streets and from the school premises, and let our children have the opportunity to study without guns tottering over their heads, or without soldiers raping our children at gunpoint. I wonder if the Apostolic Nuncio ever watched this video. Watch it.
It's Precious Jemia in Angangolo, and I'm a Bakurian. Since that incident, since the day of the incident, Mr. Enga has been threatening me, he has been calling my phone, he has been calling me that because I told him that I'm going to report this matter. He said if I mention that it's 1 second for him to kill me, that he's going to end my life. And since I'm not working freely, like I'm scared of my life because I don't know the next step that he can do. He told me that he's a general in Central Police there, that if he wants to frame me up, it's 1 second for me. Since that day, I've been really traumatized, and he's only calling me and be threatening me that he's going to kill me. If I don't sleep with him again, that he will kill me. That if he does not sleep with I and my friend, that he's going to kill us. This is my friend, her name is Yolan.
Yeah, my name is Biya I'm a Bakurian from Bukova, a school at JHS Bukova Roram. I'm the victim of the incident I was caught on Sunday, in which I used Mr. Ayenga's phone to call my friend to bring my birth certificate because I'm still 16. I don't have an ID card. I called her using his phone. Meanwhile, the man directly told me, Mr. Ayenga told me in his office that if I sleep with him, he's going to release me at the moment. I told him that no, I cannot, that is going to be traumatized. The man said, okay, I should go back there. They said I'm going to work inside them. And when not knowing that he has taken his phone and called my friend, telling her that they should meet up at checkpoint, in which they did without me knowing. It's just now that I found out, as she earlier said, after he slept with her, telling her that if she says anything, he's going to kill her. Also telling me that if he does not sleep with me, I'm not going to be released. In which I cried that day in the station until one other chef came and released me.
Precious Jemia in Angangolo.
So these harrowing tales of gun-tottering individuals desecrating our children. We have stories all over the place of these same soldiers impregnating students in boarding schools, even some in mission schools, where they are expected or where they were sent, or they are sent to take guard that they are protecting the children to go to school. I have listened even to young teachers who say how these people even point their guns at them and sometimes rape some of them along with their students. This is what the Apostolic Nuncio needs to know. This is what the church, this is what the universal church needs to fight against. The fight is a bigger one. We heard about a police officer who caught a girl on Cow Street in Bamenda. A girl still breastfeeding, a small baby, and raped her in broad daylight. What has ever happened to him? Who has ever heard what has happened to him? The Apostolic Nuncio never said anything. The entire church went dumb and silent. There will be no peace where there is no justice. Don't just shout education, education. Where does it end? If you are doubting, listen to this lady. She is a citizen of La République du Cameroon. She too knows what she's talking about. She has been irking and sending children to school in a useless education system where they spend time asking you the name of the first ever president of France. Listen.
Qu'est-ce qui te plaît dans le pays?
Rien ne me plaît dans ce pays. Rien. Où on va seulement tous mourir, je ne connais pas. Parce que je ne comprends plus mon beau pays là où ça part. Nous nous débrouillons ici, là. Par exemple, moi, je suis veuve depuis plus de 20 ans. On se débrouille pour envoyer les enfants à l'école. Les enfants ont les diplômes pour payer l'école, pour que l'enfant ait même la licence ou même le BTS. On te va te dire que l'école, c'est les 600 000, c'est les 700 000. Tu finis de payer, tu payes les formations. Les enfants sont à la maison. Ils ne font rien. Qu'est-ce qui est donc bien dans ce pays qu'on me demandait qu'est-ce qui peut me plaire dans ce pays? À mon âge, 3e âge, je suis sous le soleil, sous la pluie.
So if you hear, what is she lamenting about? She's saying what is even the finality of that so-called education that this Apostolic Nuncio is talking about. You spend hundreds of thousands, in her case, 700,000, 900,000. The children go get those certificates, come back and sit in the house and doing nothing. That's the peace that the Apostolic Nuncio is talking about. But you need justice, where a society is created in such a way that people are able to tap benefits from their investments. Where children will go to school, come out of there and meet a world of opportunities waiting for them. The fight in the southern Cameroons is far beyond that, Mr. Apostolic Nuncio. The fight in the southern Cameroons is a fight to restore the soul of our nation, so that we should make our land a place where everyone has a place under the sun, where we should make our land a place where everyone is equal before the law, where we should make our land a place where children go to school, not to come out to be job seekers, to be perpetual mendicants, to be running up and down and eating bread and sardine, or getting drunk in places and getting drunk because they have nothing to do, but so they can come out and be job creators and set up their businesses and be the masters of their own destinies. That is what we are looking for. Because look at the picture painted by this lady. Yes, in La République du Cameroon, there is no interruption. They are going to those schools. What is the finality? The misery that you hear from this lady? Here again.
Et que j'ai les enfants qui peuvent me nourrir. Non seulement ça, on vient encore, on nous détruit. Bientôt, comme vous êtes là, la commune municipale va passer. Nous chasser, on court avec les marchandises, ils prennent ce qu'ils peuvent prendre, ils partent jeter. Les tables, ils ont cassé, tout, ils ont détruit. Qu'est-ce qui peut plaire quelqu'un dans ce pays? Le pays va mal. Le pays va mal. Je réponds à ta question, ma fille. Le pays va mal.
So did you hear? So, Mr. Apostolic Nuncio, it is not just about peace. It is about ensuring justice. Even just at your nostrils in La République du Cameroun, where they are going to those so-called schools, what are they coming out with? We don't want our children being taught a watered kind of education that leads to nowhere, that leads to permanent dependency, because that's the education of dependency. That is what La République du Cameroun is forcing on our children, and that's exactly what we have been fighting against. Education of dependency. That's why Charles Rangel says this: a quality education grants us the ability to fight the war on ignorance and poverty. A quality education grants us the ability to fight the war on ignorance and poverty. In the southern Cameroons, we know what we want. In the southern Cameroons, we have an idea exactly what we want our children to learn. In the southern Cameroons, we know exactly, we have a clear vision how we want to transform our society. We don't just want peace. We want justice to reign on our land. Still talking about that education, it is because of all of that crap that people spill around and the kind of thing that you said, Mr. Apostolic Nuncio, that this gentleman had to face it off with Professor Elvis Ngole Ngole. Watch him.
Very good report card from nursing school to university, but jobless. Where am I heading to? So we want to tell Cameroonians, gather those report cards and bring. Professor, I will give him. Go and give your President Paul Biya. Either we have good report cards with job, or we take your report cards back and allow us jobless and know that we have nowhere to go. But God created this nation, gave us life, but wickedness has placed us under darkness. Okay. And that's why deliverance will even start here with people like Prof. First, stop defending evil. Okay. So, very good report card from nursing school to university, but jobless. Where am I heading?
So, this is a message I'm sending to the Apostolic Nuncio to Cameroon. Mr. Apostolic Nuncio, take note of this. We need La République du Cameroon out of our land. We need to transform our land. Our children will be going to school. And why are they still going to school now? And still reading some of the books, some of the covers, of which I will show in my next in my next outing, that are humiliating and embarrassing, simply because we are first of all peace-loving people. Why do we still allow our children to be taking useless exams like the Cameroon GCE and all of those? Simply because at the core, we're peace-loving people. But there will be a time where this will end. Because we need to redefine the education that our children receive. We need to make sure our children get the kind of education that Charles Rangel is talking about. The quality of education that will grant our people the ability to fight the war on ignorance and poverty. Not the kind of education that keeps us in the cycle of permanent dependence and poverty and misery. That's exactly what our people are rejecting. Let me wrap up this communication with this thought from Olivier de Mille. He says, the war that we are fighting is for the family. He says the war is for the family. The battle for their children's education and their grandchildren's freedom is as real to them as if they could witness the chants or the clangs of bayonets on the field or hear the blasts of mortars in the harbor. Mr. Apostolic Nuncio, this is why we are fighting. The war is for our families. The battle is for our children's education. That is why we are fighting. That is why you find all the teachers' trade unions join this fight in 2016, 2017, and have been in right up to this moment. That's why I'm sharing this view with Olivier de Mille, that the war is for the family. The battle for our children's education and our grandchildren's freedom is as real to us as anything else. And therefore, we will not bow. We will not bow to even the subtle kind of pressure that you are trying to put on us. Because I qualified this more as sophistry than as actually paying attention to the sufferings of the people of the southern Cameroons. This video, this communication, Mr. Apostolic Nuncio, comes across at the end of the day more like an insult than a contribution to improving the situation in which we find ourselves. The church had better risen to the occasion to talk about the need for justice, because that is the only conduit to lasting peace. Where there is no justice, there will be no peace. I'd like to end this communication by acknowledging all the people of the southern Cameroons, wherever they may be, for all the efforts that we continue to put in by day and by night to ensure that we prosecute this liberation movement and ensure the freedom of our people. And I want to remind each and every one of the fact that October 1, right now, is less than 30 days away. And therefore, everything should be done across the world to ensure that on the 1st of October 2024, which is World Ambazonia Day, we will paint the entire world blue and white. And always don't forget to remind your wife, your sister, your daughter that September 22 is World Takumbang Day. And we are looking forward to the various events that will be carried out across the board to mark this day. These are very strong moments in our liberation movement, and we have to do everything to perpetuate them. I'd like to thank each and every one of you that is continuing to support this liberation movement one way or the other to ensure that we attain our objective, that we grant or that we are able to hand to the next generation of Southern Cameroonians a free, independent, and a prosperous nation. Thank you, my people. Thank you, fellow Ambazonians. Share the link to this communication as much as you can so that those who were not available to watch the show live should be able to share in the message that went out today. To God be the glory.